Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Odyssey. So today I want to talk about this whole onward mobility and maybe the lack of mobility at this point in time. So I've had a lot of people reach out to me, probably more people asking about the BlackBerry situation and onward mobility than the new Samsung phone, which of course is not ironic. I've been championing the BlackBerry corner of the market for a while when it comes to videos. So two things here. One, so of course, Crackberry Kevin is back. That's great. If y'all haven't seen that, he's working on a revitalization of Crackberry 2.0, cool stuff. But he did go ahead and put out an article and some information saying that he has inside sources that OnwardMobility is basically done. Now, what he is reporting, and what has also been independently reported by Daniel Bader over at Android Police, and of course has been picked up now, today it got picked up by The Verge and ARS Technica, so it's kind of out there, and I can't confirm this. But we will discuss this because these are two very credible sources, and of course the two-parted prong of this is I have a non-disclosure agreement, and Crackberry Kevin does not. So what he has the liberty to talk about is probably greater than me, at least from what he's got from his sources. I can't confirm anything. But when you talk about OnwardMobility and this whole loss of the BlackBerry logo. Basically, the loss of the license is what is being asserted here by Crackberry Kevin and elsewhere. It's basically being, I guess, just run with as truth at this point because neither BlackBerry or OnwardMobility has confirmed this. Well, whether it has or not, honestly, I don't even know if it's that big of a deal at this point because, well, the only information we've got out of OnwardMobility publicly in the last year is a blog post on January the 7th saying, we're not dead. So they were supposed to put out another press announcement, and I believe that was going to happen here relatively recently, and it has not. So there's been no communication other than basically one blog post in a year from OnwardMobility, but we do have certain other things. So if you look at BlackBerry, we know about the sale of the smartphone and messaging patents to this Catapult group for about $600 million, and that was a substantial deal. Whether they're going to do anything with that, whether they're just going to hold on to the patents so that they can sue people who are infringing on them, I don't know. And there's all sorts of rumors surrounding BlackBerry and what's going on with the Catapult people, but yeah, they basically got a whole bunch of the patents and the messaging stuff sent over from BlackBerry for a substantial sum of money. I think it was like $450 million they paid them up front, and then $150 million they took out in a promissory note, which is a loan. They took out a loan of $150 million, so they seem to think something is either profitable there, or maybe they'll do something with it. They could very well make their own phone. And I'm not going to lead down any roads of speculation here. What we're here specifically to talk about is OnwardMobility. So the big question is, in the sale of that patent group, all that block of stuff to Catapult, did OnwardMobility lose something? And there's a very real possibility that could have happened. I can't confirm that. I don't know, honestly. But when it comes to that whole game, at face value, it seemed like maybe that did happen. But also, there's also this provision, I guess, where BlackBerry has some sort of lease back to the technology to use those patents. So if there's still an extension of a license here to OnwardMobility, maybe it is, maybe it is not. But the problem here is there's just nothing. There's been no comment. Multiple agencies have reached out to OnwardMobility. Multiple agencies have reached out to BlackBerry. No comment. So I made a tweet saying that, hey, OnwardMobility should probably address this. Good, bad, or indifferent, if they can even put out a press announcement. We don't even know that. So the whole thing is, when you look at the relationship between BlackBerry and OnwardMobility, there just really hasn't been anything, but we do have continued overt signs from BlackBerry. Of course, for years they've said they're out of the phone business, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense whenever they entered into a licensing agreement with OnwardMobility after the TCL one went away. Why would they continue to license out their name to make phones if they're trying to create this brand image that they have nothing to do with phones? And maybe it took 7 years of saying we don't make phones anymore before they finally caught up with somebody and said, why are we still doing this? So whenever BlackBerry said that they weren't going to make phones anymore, they had like $4 billion sitting in the bank. I mean, they had a ton of money. Now they don't have a ton of money, and $600 million is a whole lot of money. So my guess is that BlackBerry wants to leverage that to try and continue to push forward with their software and security services stuff, and they want to distance themselves from the idea of being anything related to a smartphone manufacturer. So this may be the final nail in the coffin. Maybe they did do that. I mean, it could be assumed that there is a loss of confidence there with BlackBerry and OnwardMobility because the device hasn't been brought to market in so long. So, and we know there were problems. I mean, I alluded to this. I talked about this all last year. They're a small company. There's bigger companies going out of business. I mean, shoot, LG doesn't make phones anymore. They have money and they exited the smartphone business. It's a very difficult space to operate. Trying to make money selling phones is more difficult than it has ever been. And yeah, it's not something that's very easy. And of course, getting access to supply chain, getting access to inventory space and chips and somebody to manufacture the device, plus getting money to make the thing. There's a lot of stuff there. I think that was pretty understandable. And I think that was mostly the tone from most fans whenever they said, hey, we're still alive. We've had some issues. Most people were understanding of that. So I thought that that was okay. And yeah, so at the state of things now where we're at, we have a bunch of articles that say BlackBerry has removed the license from OnwardMobility and basically, yeah, they're not going to be able to build a BlackBerry phone. That could leave you with a couple different things to take away. Could they still use the existing design? Maybe. Could they sell it to somebody else? Maybe. Could they reach out to Catapult and work with them? I mean, maybe there are a lot of maybes out there. But the one thing I don't want to have anyone walk away from this video is with a false sense of hope. The only real positivity there's been over the last year or hope was the few times I said, hey, these guys are still alive. They're working really hard to bring this to market. And contrary to popular belief, they're not dead. I said that a few times. But after so long, they never said anything. So I just kind of like, okay, whatever. They're there. If it comes out, if they keep working on this, that's great. I mean, they're supposed to be, so whatever. But I'm not going to keep talking about it. There was no virtue. I made a video about that. And last summer, the phone didn't come out and then they didn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, if they are telling people this phone is going to be out by basically June 30th, the first half of 2021, then they don't deliver, and then they say they're going to deliver, and then they don't, and then I'm sitting here going, hey guys, they're supposed to still be making the phone. Well, if they don't care enough or they are not in a position where they can say something, why am I going to bother? Why would Crackberry Kevin sign an NDA? Why would, it's one of those things where there's a lot of hopes and dreams wrapped around the idea of this phone. Maybe somehow it still materializes. Maybe if this is true and there's no licensing agreement between them anymore, I don't really know where that leaves OnwardMobility, or if they're even going to make a statement to acknowledge it. And I went back, I put a tweet out saying they should acknowledge it. They really should. Whether it gives weight to it, whether it disagrees with it, whether it's maybe it's a half and half story of it's half truth and it's half not truth, I don't know. That's nothing that I can answer here. And the best people to do that, of course, would be BlackBerry and OnwardMobility. But BlackBerry is also, one, very standoffish. They basically go, oh yeah, there's this company named OnwardMobility that we have a licensing agreement with. They're supposed to bring a phone to market. And that's basically the extent of it because, John Chin's not going to say anything. Especially whenever their whole mantra is, we don't do phones anymore. So they're very standoffish about it. Basically, publicly, there's zero support for OnwardMobility from them. And then OnwardMobility has no product to show and no communication. And then we're supposed to start communicating again. Said they were going to, and then they have not. So there are a lot of things that you can infer from this. I'm not going to tell you what you can infer. I'm not going to wink, wink, nudge, nudge. My official statement is, I have a non-disclosure agreement. I can't confirm or deny any of this stuff, but looking at the sources that are out there, the articles that are put out, the lack of, basically lack of anything from OnwardMobility or BlackBerry to the contrary or the affirmative, what I can probably assume is we'll probably be in for a long winter of still not hearing anything. So in that time period, OnwardMobility could go away. I mean, you don't even know. Or they could come out with a phone in a year. It might not have a BlackBerry logo on it. I don't really, that's just, there's a lot of stipulations that have been made out there, and they're from very credible sources. I don't really see that Crackberry Kevin would go out of his way to go, hey guys, this is what's happening, if it weren't happening. And there's no real virtue in lying about it, because if you look at where he's at in his position, coming back, saying, hey, I'm going to revitalize Crackberry and move it into the new frontier, why would you say something like that if you didn't get credible information? And it's credible information. I mean, until it's confirmed or denied, I mean, it's just information, right? This is stipulated assertions from him and also from other news outlets. So mostly, whenever you look at it, and it's been picked up by a lot of different agencies now, you look at that and you go, okay, well, yeah, BlackBerry, there's probably not going to be a BlackBerry phone happening. And again, that's nothing I can confirm or deny, but if you look and you see smoke, you can usually assume there's fire, and that's what people are going to do. And that's why I strongly recommend that if this is true, if it's not true, if there's something in between, then it would probably be best for OnwardMobility to say, hey guys, we saw what y'all said, this is what's going on. Or they could just maintain the radio silence, and maybe they don't want to give any credence to it. Maybe they don't want to acknowledge that. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I'm not going to put words for them. I'm not a spokesperson for them. I'm just here because I've had, look, this is a very interesting situation. I've got a lot of people that are interested in it. There's very limited things that I can talk about with regard to this whole situation, which is, frustrating because there are things that I would like to offer my opinion on. And one reason why whenever Crackberry Kevin was looking into whether he should sign a non-disclosure agreement, I said, you probably shouldn't, because that leaves you in a position outside of the position that I'm in where you can offer a lot more commentary, a lot more feedback. And I think that the community needs that. And if he got information that led him to believe that he should say that OnwardMobility is basically kaput and that they lost their license, then I think there's some credibility there. Can I confirm it? No. Am I going to go into discussion on it? No. But I know Kevin, and he's pretty upfront with people. So based off of the information he got, I would say that he believed it was credible whenever he heard it, and also it was picked up by Android police, who also have asserted the same thing. So my recommendation here is going to be the same thing it's been for the last year. We knew that even if, let's say if we woke up tomorrow and everything was still status quo, nothing has changed with OnwardMobility. Let's live in this hypothetical land. There's still no device coming anytime soon, and you need a phone if you've been using an older BlackBerry. So my guidance and recommendation is to get a phone that will serve you well, that you can use, that you can continue to carry around until something changes. If we get another keyboard phone towards the end of the year, great. If we don't, you're still covered. If we get one a year from now, okay, that's great. You've got a phone, and that's the most important thing. You need to be able to communicate. You need a device that's secure and that you can use to conduct your day-to-day business. And there's a whole lot of those. I've got a lot of videos. I'll probably make another one in the near future. I haven't really touched on that in 2022. I'm a big fan of the Pixel 6, even though it's had some issues. The new S22's out. There's a whole lot of options out there that you can choose from if you need a new phone, especially since we just moved over past this end of life for BlackBerry. And then also we're hearing end of life for BlackBerry apps on the Android software and the UI and all that stuff. So probably you might need a new phone at some point in time, and it doesn't seem like BlackBerry or OnwardMobility are going to be bringing you one anytime in the near future. And it looks like BlackBerry wants to be as far away from the smartphone game as possible. They let BlackBerry 10 die. They're letting their Android BlackBerry phones die. They're just like, okay, we're done. BlackBerry is officially done. I think I can say that now. BlackBerry is dead. The BlackBerry that you knew that makes smartphones is no more. It's very curious why they even have had licensing agreements for someone else to make a phone, because it still gives the impression they make phones when they don't. And they're moving on. They sold their patents to Catapult. So that leaves this little tiny question mark left, which is OnwardMobility. And publicly, outlets are saying they're done. So my recommendation, again, if you need a phone, get one. If you have any questions about recommendations, hit me up. I will give you my recommendations. And OnwardMobility should either say something, or they could continue to not say something and go the way that they've been going for the last year, which has not been a very good policy, which I've told them and I have made very, very publicly known. This whole silence thing for the last, it's just not it. So if we get an answer, then great. If we don't, well, I mean, you guys know what to do. We've been living without a new BlackBerry for going on 4 years now, and it doesn't seem like we're going to get anything anytime soon. And there's not a whole lot of options left out there anymore. So that's all I've got. Sorry I can't give you an official comment on what's going on, but I would direct you, if you have questions about it, go to crackberry.com and you can ask Kevin. You can go to the community there and get some answers probably. Or you can read around in the news outlets and make your own decision on what you believe, whether the information is credible or not, because it doesn't seem like we're going to get an answer anywhere on either front, whether OnwardMobility or BlackBerry, regarding the situation. So who am I to try and answer something like that? I can just give you the best guidance I can, which is make sure you have a good phone and we'll see what happens as time transpires, because time gives the answers to all things. So that's all I've got. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to head down to the comment section. I'll get back with you. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.